here to weigh in is Missouri Senator Eric Schmitt. Senator Schmitt, you see how this goes. I saw it when I was on the ground in Minneapolis in the scrum, and a lot of it's fairly peaceful. People are just screaming or whatever. I don't know, peaceful, but they're screaming. They have profane signs, and F off is every other word is F this, F that. Not particularly edifying, but most of it's fairly routine stuff. But you see how the media continued to drive this narrative, and at least in the short term, to some effect on the opinion polls.
Well, it's very much a strategy. They know exactly what they're doing. They're seeking these confrontations. They're encouraging it. They have a vast network that's bringing people into these situations, into these sanctuary cities. They're blocking off law enforcement from doing their jobs. They're dehumanizing these law enforcement agents by calling them the Gestapo, the secret police, Nazis. These are people who have families, Laura. Their mothers, their fathers, their aunts, their uncles, they're doing their job. And I think it's important to take a step back and realize the American people, not only do they vote for President Trump, they elected members of Congress who, in a bipartisan way, in a bygone era, actually adopted immigration laws for the sovereignty of our country. And we have an executive branch and agency that's going out to enforce those immigration laws. That's what's happening. But through this Trump derangement syndrome and this radicalization that's happened on the left, this is now somehow controversial. It's very dangerous. It's a powder keg. They know it. That's why they're filming everything. They want some sort of martyr at every turn on every day. They think they're going to be effective. But I think it's an important moment for our country, Laura, that we stand firm, that we have the resolve to say we're a sovereign country. We do, in fact, have the right to say who comes here and who has to leave. That's not what the left believes. They believe in open borders, and that's what this whole thing's really all about.
I think you're onto something, though. I really believe that the hard left is dragging the Democrat Party willingly. I say dragging, but they're enticing the Democrat Party over to this position that they're going to have to tiptoe away from the closer they get to real elections. Because they know that this stuff doesn't sell. They can demonize ICE, but I think it's really stupid. But the left wants the party to go there. The party is going there willingly. But as a political move, I think it's idiotic.
Well, and think about it. It's really kind of in their DNA. It's not that long ago they were talking about defunding the police. Now they tiptoe away from that because they saw what a disaster that was. But you're hearing people say, elected officials say, defund ICE, abolish ICE.
Oh, no, they're all saying
There's really
it.
not much difference. Yeah, there's not much difference between those two things. And ultimately, what the American people want, they want their country to be a place where law is respected, order is respected. They don't want these crazy people blocking law enforcement, creating dangerous situations themselves where people can get hurt. Look, they're going after the worst of the worst here, and the mass importation of people into this country, the mass migration has to be met with these mass deportations.
Well, the Democrats are running out of comparisons, so they really made a stretch today. Watch.
The Iranian regime is an authoritarian regime that is suppressing its people, and we need to support the Iranian people in their struggle for freedom and independence. They're protesting largely peacefully on the streets, and they're being attacked and murdered. And I think, there's an irony, obviously, in what we see with ICE on America's streets.
Leave it to a Vindman, Senator. Leave it to a Vindman.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And that rhetoric is really dangerous. Again, these are human beings that have been hired to do a job that the American people support, which is to enforce our immigration laws. But again, what this really is about, the open borders crowd has radicalized the Democrats. They're not writing white papers anymore, Laura. They're in charge, and they don't believe that we should have borders at all and that everybody should be able to be here, and that's not the case. That's not the case in a sovereign country. No sane country would allow that.
Well, they're now into going to war for the rights of illegals over the rights of the American people. They're using warlike language, Senator. You're right, it is dangerous. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.